I
Are we
think we're
going
live.
You know what's
Yes, we're
funny
live.
about this?
Yes, we're
You know
live.
what's funny about this? WinDailySports.com. You're tuned into the NBA preview show. By the way, we need to come up with a name for this that is from the top, that is from Jason. Said, come up with a cool ass name. And so we need to do
God,
that.
he's gonna kill me. I feel like he asked me that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's
I
okay.
completely
It's
forgot.
okay.
Shit.
But you know what's crazy about this is like every time I'm waiting for it to go live, as soon as I mention, are we live yet? Or I say, all right, we're going live, then it happens. It's like it needs a verbal command for me to tell it to go live. And I have no idea why that's the case. And it freaks me out every single time. But hello. First, I got to start off with this. Dude, the NBA playoffs to start. Holy absolute bleep, man. What a start to the playoffs.
It's the best, honestly. Like, there's nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing. Like, I'm a big NHL guy, obviously, so I love NHL playoffs too. But
which has been great
there's
too.
nothing
That's
like
awesome.
there's nothing like NBA playoffs. Like, especially this season, everyone's people are tired of guys sitting out left and right, and there's people's favorite players are sitting out on crucial games and games that are on live TV and primetime hours and whatnot. But this is the time where you see that the NBA is the most star-studded professional league, and there's nothing that compares to it. So because of that, it's widely entertaining, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's been incredible, and it's every single one. It's not just the 4 or 5 seeds that are having great games. It's even the 8th seeds are putting up good fights. And not that I was worried at all about the Wizards team. That game was easy. But every single game has been close. Every single game has had some type of intriguing narrative, interesting storyline, interesting result. It's been really damn good. And you know what? Let's get into a little bit tonight's slate. We'll go everywhere. Betting side of it, also DFS, but Miami-Milwaukee had a damn close and damn good first game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
It was a crazy game.
But I will say, I thought both teams played like garbage. Like, I'll be honest with you. I thought they both offensively looked all out of sorts, especially the Heat it was weird to see, but they particularly looked all over the place offensively.
I was about to say as you said, they both looked all over the place. I was about to finish this and say on the offensive end, and then you went right into that. So like, I don't know. It almost looked like Miami was kind of like, oh wait, we have like 9 guards that can all score the ball and all carry the ball. Like, I think it was more so that this is the first meaningful game, and although I say it off the top of my head, I'm pretty confident when I say that that was probably the first meaningful game that they played where every single one of their guards was healthy outside of Victor Oladipo, right? And he wasn't even there all that much this season. So it was, yeah, buckets, triple double. That's
are we that all in on Miami? We'll get to it. Yeah.
So oh man. Okay. So you know how I felt about Miami since February, 2nd month of the season, February.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I've been talking about Miami. So I bet Miami to win the series. I doubled down. I took Miami with the points last game. Again, that's why you don't get greedy. You take the points. Shout out Mike for always telling me that when he was on air with me, because I used to sometimes get greedy and take money lines. I do give those quite often. Those like there was that Suns call that we actually clipped at Win Daily Sports on Twitter. Make sure you guys go and check that out. I said I don't need the points for the Suns, and we absolutely hammered that one. And there's sometimes when I say I don't need the points, it's because I'm really confident in it. But it was game 1. I took the points. They covered. Everything was good. But now I actually doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down. I don't even know at this point. I have so much invested in Miami that I took them to win the series again. So I still think Miami wins this series. You look at what Milwaukee was doing offensively, and it was just it I was watching this, and I'm like, man, I really hope John is watching this and he's remembering what we were discussing on your show, saying that they can defend you in every single possible way, and they could score on you in every single possible way. If you told me last game, it's game 1, Miami versus Milwaukee, Goran Dragic is going to score 25 points, people would probably say, yeah, no, that's not happening. He's not even starting. And I mentioned that. I said Kendrick Nunn could start, but it doesn't matter. It's Dragic, it's Duncan Robinson, it's Butler, Ariza, Bam, Tyler Hero. Basically, it's Tyler Hero if Duncan Robinson's shot is not dropping. Kendrick Nunn is not going to be the guy in clutch moments. And every single fourth quarter of every game in this series is going to be clutch moments. So I really like the way that they pan out. And you know what? They lost that game in overtime with Jimmy Butler shooting 4 for 22 from the field. Like, that's just, Bam was missing wide open floaters. Like, his floaters looked worse than a Draymond Green floater. Like, it was really, really bad. Like, that was probably one of the worst games that I've seen Bam play offensively in a long time. So
I guess what I saw that concerned me was Jimmy Butler. Not only was he missing shots, but he looked lost out there. Like, he had that one bucket late in the fourth quarter, obviously to tie it to send it to overtime. Like, that was a really great play. But for the most part, he found himself multiple times in bad spots on the floor, like picking up his dribble. Like, he looked lost, because he's the one, to me, if that offense is running right, it's running through him, because he's a great facilitator and, it's just a really good, tough player on the offensive end. But he was the one, and that's why it concerned me, that just looked to be a little lost. And that's when I kind of pulled back a bit and went, okay, maybe Miami's not right here. Like, something doesn't seem right.
And this is where I ended up looking, and I was seeing kind of the same thing. And for me, I would describe his offensive performance as timid. You can't really say that. Yeah. You're going to tell me, well, he took 22 shots. How is he timid? But he wasn't getting to his spot. He wasn't getting to the spots that he likes to. He was shooting the ball towards the end of the shot clock, which Miami typically does not do. They're not the fastest team in the league, but they don't drain out 24 seconds, which they were essentially doing almost every single possession. And he wasn't getting to his spots. He wasn't finding the mid-range properly. He was taking 3-pointers while his momentum was still carrying him forward. Like, it was just, that to me is where I saw, okay, he's gotta get it together offensively. And then I saw the game-tying bucket, and I was like, this is exactly what he's going to do in game 2. He looked at Giannis right in the face and said, I'm going to blow by you. And that's exactly what he did. And he floated up over Brook Lopez, who has a way wider wingspan than Jimmy Butler does. And he just floated up there with confidence. The guy's 3 for 21. And he goes out there with 7 seconds left, comes very close to the half-court line, came all the way back, looks at the clock, 3 seconds left, and just blows by a guy that we all consider to be a top 5 defensive player in the NBA and a defensive player of the year candidate every single season in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So for me, it was, I understand they lost the game, but that possession was a sign for me to say, okay, this is what he's going to do moving forward, because I think he himself realized that this is what I need to do. If I could do that against Giannis, I can do that against Dante DiVincenzo. I can do that against Chris Middleton, against anybody else. So that's what I'm expecting to see from him tonight. And Adam's right in the comments. I did bet Jimmy Butler to triple-double tonight at plus 1,200.
Of course you did. Of course you did. So let's get into... because I do want to go over
money. It's the pizza bet.
I love it. By the way, there's been a big discussion on tomato pie in Philadelphia. Tomato pie, if you haven't heard of it, is the greatest thing of all time. I'm just saying. But let's go into DFS tonight. We'll go through that first, and then we'll get into bets, because I want to do the betting side of things now that we are in the playoffs. But I got it in the Discord chat. As soon as I put up the link to everything, hey, join us. We're going to be talking about DFS, all this. The first question that comes up right after I post that link is, are we fading Giannis tonight? Is fading playoff Giannis a thing here? Are we going to continue to do that?
It definitely is a thing. And the main reason why is that this is what I kind of wrote when I did the play-in preview article, when I covered all possible scenarios there, and kind of just gave a breakdown of what exactly NBA playoff DFS is, because it's far from the same as what we're used to in the regular season. The regular season comes around and, we get all this 3 to 3.5K value because, like I was saying earlier, where there's a bunch of guys sitting out. There was COVID issues all over the place. Guys are sitting for load management. Like this was probably the season that I could remember in recent memory where there were a ton of stars that were injured. Like, there was so much value on a given slate. Now you're coming down to 2 to 4 game slates in the first place, where that alone we talked about in the month of February and March and in the regular season, where value is thin. But now we're talking about teams that are shortening up their rotations to 6, 7, 8 guys at the most. So when you're playing these value plays, and it's more so in that second game that everybody's flocking to some very questionable value in order to get Giannis in. And for me, is Giannis going to drop 60 DraftKings points tonight? I mean, yeah, probably. Is he going to be the highest scorer on the slate? Personally, I don't think so. I think Joker outscores him. But even if he is, it would be a surprise to absolutely nobody in the industry. But it's not about getting the highest scoring player. It's about getting the highest scoring combination of guys, right? So Giannis plus that punt value play that you end up taking, I don't know. Like there's a lot of fringe value in that second game. And I really want to talk about that before we get into the betting, because that'll just help me justify why I'm personally not playing Giannis tonight. On FanDuel, it's a different story. This is me. I'm talking DraftKings right now. For anybody out there that's listening that's playing FanDuel, if you build a lineup without Giannis tonight, it's very bold because power forward is terrible and you have to roster two of them. Like you're looking to roster Trevor Ariza, Robert Covington, and Aaron Gordon. That's about it at the power forward position. So and you have to roster 2 out of 3 of those guys. Fading Giannis on FanDuel is very bold. I would not do that. But on DK, where everything's a puzzle piece and you have so many guys that are multiple they're eligible for multiple positions, I don't feel the need to play him tonight.
So yeah, now it's just obviously as we go through the playoffs, we kind of know, and you probably know already since you obviously very closely have been watching the league and these rotations. It's just trying to find the right combination of players that are within the rotation that are going to play minutes. And so you said this Denver Portland game, the second one, is where you can find those players. Who are some of those players for you that you are targeting?
So we'll go all the way down. I guess we'll go bottom up because there's some really deep value plays in this one. Starts with Anthony Simmons at 3,300. I believe he's the lowest that people are really going on this slate. I mean, you could consider Howard, but not really. I get it. He played 20 minutes, but he's not going to go out there and really play significant minutes. So Anthony Simmons is probably the cheapest that people will go. And he's coming in as a top 5 highest owned play on the slate. And look, I get it. 3,300 for Anthony Simmons is really cheap. He's a guy that can put up a good shot and this and that. Played 23 minutes last game, but in a 7 to 8 man, like, it's an 8-man rotation in Portland, but Enes Kanter barely played. He only played 14 minutes, right? So it's pretty much a 7-man rotation out there in Portland right now. 23 minutes for Anthony Simmons, it's a lot. If it was a 7-man rotation in the regular season, we'd be all over them. That's what we stacked the Orlando Magic and Detroit Pistons when they're on 7 to 8-man rotations. We could stack Portland when they're on a 7-man rotation. But for what I wanted to point out is that if anybody didn't watch the game, or if you did, you might not notice stuff like this. And this is what it's good and bad. I like it because it's a different way to watch the game, but it's bad because I can't sit and enjoy a game because I'm betting on it and I'm looking at numbers more so than that. And I'm looking at the rotations more than the actual plays. It's like, that's just the way it is, right? But when Anthony Simmons played all 23 minutes, he did not share a single minute out there alone without both CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. He was out there for all 23 minutes with at least one of them and played over 15 minutes with both of them on the court. Like that for me is a guy that's going 4 for 5 from deep. That's exactly what he's going to do. He will take 5 shots. And if it's not dropping, he will put up 10 DraftKings points. And all of a sudden you're a Giannis and Anthony Simmons combo where you're fired up because Giannis puts up 60. Well, when Anthony Simmons puts up 10, now your duo starts to end up becoming into question, right? So that's a guy that, is he going to go 4 for 5 from deep every game? Absolutely not. Is he going to take 5 shots every game? I mean, yeah, he's not going to go out there and not do anything. But you better believe that if his shot is not dropping, if you don't think that they're going back into the huddle and Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are telling this guy, hey, you're out there to pretty much let us rest, you're not shooting the ball, he's not shooting the ball. So that's where, when you share the court with Damian Lillard, let alone with Lillard and CJ McCollum out there, your shot better be dropping. Because if it's not, it's an easy substitution to end up going mellow, and they have other perimeter shooters to pair with their backcourt guys, right? So that's a guy that personally, you could play him, you can not. I'm okay with either one, but just be wary of that a guy like that going 4 for 5, people are chasing that last game log. Watch the game. It's scary to play a guy like this because he can put up close to 0 more than he could put up close to 30.
Yeah, and I guess with Portland, are we trying to find that player in the rotation that can do some of the other side, obviously outside of scoring? Because that's just going to be sucked up mostly by McCollum and Damian Lillard. Like all of that production is just going to be sucked up into those two players, and so there should be players here on Portland that we can look to get some other things, rebounds, assists. Is that what we're looking for here with some Portland players? Like, is that what maybe makes a guy like Nurkic somebody that's playable for Portland?
Well, that's it, right? Like if you end up not playing Giannis tonight, and obviously you guys heard me talk about Jimmy Butler for 10 plus minutes and a 15-minute show so far. So, you definitely know I'm playing Jimmy Butler. So at that point, you could end up going Jimmy Butler with Dame or Jimmy Butler with, you're not playing Giannis. You could play Jrue Holiday, like one of these guys. You could end up fitting four of these players in the 7 to 9.5K range. You could end up getting Dame with Jimmy Butler, with Jrue Holiday, with Nurkic or Michael Porter Jr., right? So that's where it ends up becoming interest. It becomes like an interest of mine when you end up fading Giannis, and you could grab a guy like Nurkic. And yeah, he's a guy that's a lock for 10-10 tonight. And you know what? You're looking closer to 15 and 15. He's going to play significant minutes. And he went out there and he already said, like, props to Adam for sending me that interview where he said, look, I'll let Jokic score. I don't care about him scoring, because when he's scoring, he's dropping twos. Whereas when he's distributing, he's hitting guys for wide open threes. And it's scary when Nikola Jokic ends up dishing the ball. He's a top 5 passer in the entire NBA, let alone the best passing big man in the league, right? So they're going to let him score. They're going to take away the passing lanes. They're going to let him put up these twos, these easy layups, no problem, because of how efficient they are on the offensive end. So for me, it's efficient offense from Nurkic, 7 for 10 from the field last game. That's what you're looking at from him. 12 plus rebounds every game. Like, it's a guy that you're looking anywhere from 35 to 45 DK at 6,700. There's nobody safer with as much upside in that price range tonight.
Yeah, Nurkic to me, I feel like is a really good play there. And I thought he had a good game against Denver as well. And obviously Portland doing pretty good. So Nurkic probably in our lineups here, Butler, Lillard. How much are we going? Because I know you said you like this second game. So how much are we investing in this game for DFS?
Look, for me personally, I wouldn't play Dame and CJ together, just because when it's Dame time, it's Dame time. So I get it. CJ at 7,300, it is definitely enticing, but I'm looking in that first game in Jrue Holiday, and he's a really enticing piece at only 7,700. He played super aggressive last game, played 42 plus minutes, was involved on every single defensive possession, every single offensive possession. He's a guy that's going to fill a stat sheet every single night, because Milwaukee just doesn't have the rotation that everybody thought that they did preseason, right? And we've been saying this. We said it as far back as the season preview show, where we said Milwaukee is not the rotation that they think that they are. It's a 5 to 6 man rotation. As crazy as that sounds, this is a 5-man rotation. When your 6th man coming off the bench is either Bobby Portis or Pat Connaughton, that's not playoff ball. I'm sorry, you're not, because then you look at who Miami has coming off the bench. They have Goran Dragic. If Kendrick Nunn is not starting and Dragic ends up starting, which is not going to be the case, I'm expecting Nunn to start. But either way, you have one of those two guards coming off the bench. You have Tyler Hero coming off the bench. You have Andre Iguodala, who has a couple rings, and he's been there, done that. So you have these guys coming off the bench where you're countering that with who? Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, PJ Tucker. Like, this is a 5-man rotation in Milwaukee. So seeing Jrue Holiday get 40 plus minutes last game, they know that that's exactly what they have to do to end up winning. And if you're not playing Giannis, you don't have to defer from the season-long strategy that we've been having, and that your lineup has to make sense. If you're not playing Giannis, it makes sense to play Jrue Holiday. You hope that, Giannis has an okay game, maybe a good game, but not great. Well, then that leaves ample opportunity for a guy like Jrue Holiday to really contribute more than he would on the offensive end than usual. So Jrue Holiday at 7,700 is definitely high on my list tonight, especially with the amount of people that are forcing in Giannis.
Yeah, and now that you do look at it, like, are we looking at guys like Gordon, Covington, Carmelo Anthony, even Morris? Like, are those the type of guys we're looking at here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Aaron Gordon is way too cheap, right? So he's underpriced, and it's more so that, again, Denver has a fairly thin rotation now too, because of the amount of injuries that they have, and he's going to be a product of his surroundings. He's going to go out there and, he's going to be that steady 20 to 30 DraftKings points guy. I was a little surprised that he only played 28 minutes, but you know what? Like, he looked a little gassed out there against Portland. He looked like running up and down the court was tough for him, because transitioning to that 3-and-D role for him, it is a little bit different than what he was doing in Orlando, right? So that's why I feel like he's still adjusting to that, but he'll get there. And in a matchup against Norman Powell, it's not exactly a completely unfavorable matchup for him. So at 5,200, I think he's a little mispriced there. He should be closer to 6. Not grossly mispriced, but again, it's right. And on a 2-game slate, it's enough. And then the other guy I'm looking at, as crazy as it sounds, is Robert Covington. So
Love
For
it.
those that have been with the Win Daily family for a while, everyone knows I hate playing Robert Covington. I hate it. He's a glorified track star.
Hate it.
I hate playing Robert Covington, but you're looking at these guys that we're talking about now, and which one of them can you confidently say is going to play 40 minutes? There's one. There's not one of no. There is one, and it's Robert Covington. There is nobody in that price range that will touch 40 minutes other than Robert Covington. That's it. So for me, it's you're getting 40 minutes in the higher pace game, higher total, and you saw how many rebounds that Nurkic is grabbing and this and that. Like the opportunity is there for Covington to really just, I don't want to say have a Draymond Green type stat line because he's not going to go out there and drop 10 rebounds and 16 assists with 4 steals and 4 blocks. It's not going to be to that volume, but it's going to be something similar where he ends up not scoring at all, but he's grabbing rebounds, he's dishing the rock, and he's providing that spark that they need on the defensive end, right? So they traded Gary Trent for Norman Powell. Norman Powell is worse on defense than Gary Trent is. So Robert Covington is the only defender that they have in that starting 5. They need him on the floor. They need him to stay out of foul trouble, and he's going to play an active role. So at his price, definitely somebody that I'm interested in. If you want to pivot off Anthony Simmons, again, Melo's the guy because like I was saying, if Anthony Simmons' shot is not dropping, they're going to put Melo in. They're not going to put Anthony Simmons in, right? So that's where he becomes a little interesting, more so a GBP play. And the Denver guard that I am favoring over Monte Morris, I'm okay with either one of them, but Austin Rivers did see more run than Monte Morris last game, and he was more productive. So I'll give the edge to Austin Rivers there, but I'm completely cool with playing either one of them. Just Morris's conditioning worries me a little bit. He was out for quite some time, and Austin Rivers really seems to have found his groove there in that Denver offense.
I hate it. We have a guard spot right here, and we are literally.
That means you're close. That means you're close. When you're $100 away, it means you're close. You're close.
Unbelievable.
You're winning. You're close to getting there, right? So those are the guys that I'm looking at for value. In that first game, I really like Trevor Ariza. So we're not going to do it on the screen here, but you could switch a certain power forward and put Trevor Ariza in there, and then you have the money for one of these guards. So I really like Trevor Ariza in that first game, playing 38 minutes, and he looked really good out there. That was some vintage Trevor Ariza performance. So I really like him. Brook Lopez is a good value as well, and two of my favorite GBP plays of the night outside of Goran Dragic, because that one's just he's carrying more ownership than the other two. Two guys that are going completely overlooked right now. I don't want to say completely. Everyone's going to be high owned. It's a 2-game slate, but overlooked in their pricing range are Dante DiVincenzo and Duncan Robinson. So for me, I get it. Dante DiVincenzo is still carrying ownership because, again, it's similarly Robert Covington, right? In those price ranges, there's nobody that's going to play as many minutes as Robert Covington. It's the same thing that applies to Dante DiVincenzo for a couple $100 more. But Duncan Robinson is that guy that when his shot is dropping, man, it's lethal. He was, I don't want to go out there and say this like without actually thinking about it too much, but just off the top of my head, I can say that I would consider Duncan Robinson the second best 3-point shooter in the entire NBA. Like, this guy is able to hit his release off the catch and shoot is, I don't want to say second to none. It's second behind Steph Curry, but it's just his release off the catch and shoot. He's able to shoot while in motion, shooting off his back foot. One of the cleanest shooting strokes you can find in the league today. So I'm a big Duncan Robinson guy. Seeing that he got 36 minutes is because you know that, number one, Milwaukee's perimeter defense is absolute booty cheeks. And then number two is that when he's out there, you have to respect it. Because
booty cheek. I don't know.
You heard me say that, bro.
I know, but that was just so out of nowhere for me.
Their perimeter defense is absolute booty cheeks. Like, it is Milwaukee. Watch Milwaukee's perimeter defense tonight. It is terrible. So, and then they put Duncan Robinson out there, and you have to respect it because he's not a guy that you can just say, okay, well, we'll let him take shots. Yeah, you'll let him take shots. He's going to go 10 for 10 from deep. If you let him, if that's the guy you're leaving wide open in the corner, he will bury you in one quarter. So that's where it's like they have to respect this game. It opens things up for Jimmy. It opens things up for Dragic, for Bam in the paint. Like, I really like Duncan Robinson out there. The fact that he went out there first game, 36 minutes, and his shot was dropping, and he looked so confident with his shot. Like, that, this for me is a guy that when we're talking about a 2-game slate, there's only so many different lineup combinations that you can make. Duncan Robinson is that guy to get different tonight. And it can either lift you right to the top or it can absolutely bury you, because if his shot is not dropping, Tyler Hero comes in and you're fried. But if you're not first, you're last. I don't play to min cash. We play to win tournaments. So Duncan Robinson is that guy for me tonight. Duncan Robinson is that guy for me tonight that I will be way over the field in terms of ownership.
Speaking of, are you playing Michael Porter Jr. real quick?
In some lineups, yeah. In my main lineup, I'm not sure if he's going to get there. I'm toying around with it right now. It just the main reason why. Now I was actually texting Jay this too, is that DraftKings is a puzzle piece, right? So you don't have to play guys at center that are not pure centers. So it all depends who I'm playing there, because Nurkic and Michael Porter Jr. are within $300 of one another. I'm looking to try and get both. But again, I like so many of those other guys. Like I'm 100% playing Jimmy Butler tonight. I like Dame, and I like the Dame, Drew, Jimmy Butler trio, like exactly what Jimmy just posted here. And when you go Nurkic as that fourth piece, you can't get Michael Porter Jr. So that was the only thing.
So I'm guessing this.
Jimmy's got it figured out. Jimmy's been in Discord all day, and he already knows exactly where I'm going with this. But that's what I was telling him. Where it's like, for me, it's if you end up coming off Giannis and Joker, both of them together. First of all, people are trying to jam both. They're gonna at least play one of them. If you're trying to play for first tonight, which you should be, you should be playing first every single night. Make a couple lineups where you don't play either of them, because if you look at the floors of the players that Jimmy has on the screen right now, there's no Anthony Simmons that could dud. There's no Monte Morris. There's no, he's not forcing Andre Iguodala in there. Like, these are guys that they're going to go out there, they're going to produce. Every single one of these guys on the screen right now is going to play over 30 minutes. So that for me is like, and your studs are still, bro, you have Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler. It's like, it's not like if you told me your studs were Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., I would say, okay, you got some catching up to do. But you have Jimmy Butler and Damian Lillard. Both can easily put up 60 DraftKings points. So I really like this lineup. I'm not afraid to play 3 to 4 Miami Heat tonight. Jimmy Butler, Ariza, Duncan Robinson is likely going to be in my main lineup. I'm even, as much as I was fired up before the show, I'm fired up even more talking about Duncan Robinson now. So he's probably going to be my main lineup, and that's the route that I'm taking tonight. I love this lineup. Way to go, Jimmy. I like it. Just make sure you run one with Giannis and or Joker, because if they drop 75, you're gonna want at least one.
So after hearing all of that and what you just said about the Heat, I imagine you're betting the Heat tonight.
I am.
Are you taking a money line?
This question, but
I know.
I'm taking the point. The only reason, the one and only reason I'm taking the points is because I have 9 bets posted on the site today.
Excuse me?
Yeah, there are 9 posted.
No, there are only 2 games on tonight, right? 2.
Yeah, but I'm the NBA guy. Like I got like that. I said, King is back. I took the weekend off. I'm back.
Jesus.
9 bets on the site right now. We're up 20 units. You know what to do.
Okay.
You know what to do. I'll give a couple of them on the show. I'll give a couple on the
Portland,
show.
Denver.
But I'm not giving all of them on the show. You got to go to the site.
Oh, you got to go windailysports.com.
Windailysports.com. Yeah. You got to check it out. I will give a couple on the show. Just a couple.
Portland, Denver.
I'm staying as far away as possible of that one, and the main reason why I like props in that game.
Nice. Okay.
I didn't touch the spread. I like props better in that game.
Well,
the props were through the roof in the yeah.
Is there a prop you can give us? At least one. What's one prop?
I can. It will be. I have how many?
One.
I think I have 7 out of 9 in that first game actually.
Jeez.
So invested in that first game. So I think the only 2 that I have 1 Dame, 1 Joker. I'll give the Dame one because we've been talking more Dame DFS too. Damian Lillard over 36.5 points and assists on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Sick. That's amazing.
Over 36.5 points and assists for Damian Lillard, FanDuel Sportsbook. I got it at -120. I'm not sure what the line is at right now, but yeah.
So here's what we're going to do.
That's my bet in that second game.
Go to windailysports.com and check out those bets. You can get a membership for it to check it out. Again, windailysports.com. All the information will be there. And check out Ghost Bets. How many units are you up?
20.
Jesus. That's pretty
20.
Good. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I like it's things are going well. And now the playoffs are amping up. It's like Like when I text you saying March Madness is my time, like this is the equivalent of that. Like
This is your time.
The frequency goes up in the NBA playoffs because there's no shenanigans. It's you just trust the process. It's gonna happen. But
trust the process.
We got yeah, you like how I dropped that in there? I love how people were tweeting, by the way, Washington beating Philadelphia at half. Okay, they're up by 1.
Dude,
they were up by 1.
Worst.
Let's just discuss that 2 seconds.
There was a media account that posted that. Look, Washington's leading the Sixers at the half.
They were up by 1.
I'm like,
they were up by 1.
Well, I said there's a reason why they didn't post the score. There's a reason.
They were up by 1, and Embiid had 3 fouls in 9 minutes.
Which that's never going to happen again in this series.
Oh my God.
Sixers are going to
NBA Twitter, something else. I took Philly in 6. I gave Washington 2 games.
I took the Sixers in a sweep.
Wow.
Which that's not even homer.
Disrespect my boy Bradley Beal like that?
That's not even homer. Look, they're great. But as we just saw yesterday, Philadelphia is a little bit too much for that lineup. Like, I know Rui Hachimura's a DFS darling around here. We mention his name all the time.
He blows.
He stinks. Raul Neto's garbage. All right, Alex Len.
Bro, the funniest thing I saw was that you were saying I can't believe people think a starting lineup with Alex Len and Raul Neto is going to beat Philadelphia. That was very good. Yeah, I like playing Hachimura because he's 4K in DFS and he's going to play 36 minutes. Player. But if I'm starting 5 in the playoffs, the guy blows. But there was that. Some crazy games opening weekend.
There is a chance they could take 1, obviously, because of Westbrook and Beal. Westbrook though looked horrible. I don't know if it was just me. I thought he looked horrible yesterday. He looked wildly inefficient.
He did.
Yeah.
Bro, Ben put the clamps on him, first of all.
Ben Simmons.
Ben put the clamps on him.
Ben was good.
Oh my God.
So, all right. So real quick before we go, what team did either surprise you with how well they did or a team that surprised you because they didn't do well? Like what was
an opening weekend?
Yeah. Your biggest surprise opening weekend.
Biggest surprise, biggest letdown.
Put you on the spot here, bud.
I have to think about that one. Biggest letdown was, I don't want to say biggest letdown because I hate Boston sports, but Boston's performance against Brooklyn was
garbage.
Like that was a team that walked out there, admitted that they were losing in 4, and they're just waiting to go home. That's what that was. Because Brooklyn didn't play well. Brooklyn did not play
at all.
Well. So,
offensively too, they were awful. Offensively.
Both ends of the court, they were. If Brooklyn plays, anyways, when Brooklyn plays like that against Miami, they're losing, so it doesn't matter. And then the biggest surprise. Man, I don't know. I don't want to say biggest surprise. Can I say that? Okay, I'll do biggest surprise and like thing that made me the happiest.
Yeah, sure.
Is that what that is? Okay, biggest surprise, not a team, but Dylan Brooks.
Nice.
I'm a big Dylan Brooks fan. Big Dylan Brooks fan from that team in Oregon. Everyone knows. I think I mentioned the Oregon Ducks team from 2016, 2017 in Discord probably once every 2 days. But I absolutely love that team. Him, Jordan Bell, Chris Boucher, Peyton Pritchard, Tyler Dorsey. That was one of my favorite college basketball teams ever to watch, and Dylan Brooks was the anchor of that team. So, seeing what he did out there against Utah first game, that was a ton of fun to watch. And then, thing that made me the happiest over the weekend, the Phoenix Suns.
You and Jason both.
LA.
Just Lakers haters. Lakers haters.
I'm not a Lakers hater. I appreciate greatness.
You just like the Suns. You like the Suns.
I've been backing the Suns all season long, and I can't wait for them to beat the Lakers.
All right, so last thing.
Number 2 seed, they were plus money to win the series. If you don't think.
I know that was crazy. No, that was crazy.
The very first thing, okay, I think Mike texted me 3 or 4 times saying, I'm waiting for the series price, Phoenix, LA. Do you have it yet? Like on Canadian books. I was like, I don't have it. Let me know when you have it. And he texted me and he said, Phoenix is plus money in game 1 and plus money on the series. Never bet something so fast in my life. Never bet something so fast in my life. If people right now are going to talk right now, I'm not saying on paper, I'm saying right now with the way that everybody is playing. If you're telling me right now that Anthony Davis, not top 5, if you tell me that Anthony Davis is a top 10 player in the NBA, you're crazy. Right now, May 24th, 2021, with the way that everybody's playing, if you tell me that Anthony Davis is a top 10 player, not top 5, top 10 player in the NBA, I will not allow it. That's not happening.
Okay, we need to get out of here before you say something that's really going to get us in trouble here. Okay. First of all, let's go through.
I'm waiting to see all the Lakers fans, all the.
Let's just go through
Lakers
this lineup
fans
real
pop
quick
up.
before you get me in trouble. Dame, Dante, Jimmy, Porter Jr., Brook Lopez, Austin, Covington, Nurkic. Not bad.
I like that. A lot invested in that second game. You got Porter Jr.
Yeah.
See, like the one thing that I was thinking too is that if you're not playing Joker, it makes sense to have like to prioritize Michael Porter Jr. Right?
Yeah.
Like somebody's gonna go out there and drop 30 against Portland tonight. Multiple guys can drop 30 against Portland. Like they have a bottom 5 defense in the NBA, right? So I do like that. The Dame Jimmy combo, I'm definitely a fan of that with Nurkic. This is exactly what I was saying, where you could end up getting 4 of those upper to elite range targets without playing guys like Anthony Simmons. And you got Dante DiVincenzo in there. Run it again, but run D-Rob instead of Dante. Run it twice. Get one with Duncan Robinson, one with Dante DiVincenzo.
Love it. That is it. We broke that damn thing down. We did it. It was only 2 games too. That's because we probably haven't seen each other's faces in a while. It's been over a week. It's been a long time.
It's been that long. Wow.
Yeah. COVID shots, dude. We're doing our best for society.
Yeah, we do what we can. We do what we can.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler triple-double plus 1,200.
That's how we're going to end it. Nope. I'm going to hit it.
That's the pizza bet. Pizza bet. Jimmy Butler to triple-double plus 1,200.
WinDailySports.com.